Now that we've become experts at factoring, we can use factoring sometimes to solve a quadratic equation. For example, I have one that says 2x squared plus 7x minus 4 equals 0. Well, we're going to introduce a new idea to show you how do we solve this. So first of all, let's just get to the point where we can factor it down and put it in factored terms. A lot of times, changing equations to factored form will help us immensely as we proceed with the problems. So if I were to factor this, I would say it would be 4 and a 1, a positive 4, and a negative 1. That looks like the correct factors of that. Well, for this statement to be true, 2x minus 1 times x plus 4 equals 0, for that to be true, we know that this term would have to either be 0 or the second term would have to be 0. And that makes sense. Imagine that I have a times b equals 0. Well, what do you know to be true? One of those has to be 0. So likewise, since I have factored this down and it's factored, I know that one of those have to be 0. So let's find out where that happens at. And the way to do that is to set the first factor equal to 0 and solve for x. So there's one solution that I have, x equals 1/2. To find the other solution, I set the second factor together, or to 0. X plus 4 equals 0, and that's true when x is negative 4. So I have two solutions to this quadratic, x equals 1/2 and x equals negative 4. And it's always prudent to take my solutions, plug them back into the equation to check to make sure that they were true or if I made a mistake. This process is called the zero product principle, basically saying that if I have a factor a times a factor b and it's equal to 0, then either a equals 0 or b equals 0. And this idea is very powerful. For those of you that are continuing on to the next math class, we're going to see this idea help us solve some very complicated problems. And understanding this is going to make those complicated problems look fairly tame.